But yeah, let's dig into some city limits here. I just played like the very first puzzle of this morning, so I think this is like technically stage 2 of the game. But you can see on the left hand side, there's like, or on the right hand side, are like the list of like the different types of buildings that I have available to me, which in this case I have all kind of the same type. And then you can see on the left hand side like the different types of combos. And again, like I was saying at the top, this is kind of like a Minesweeper mini city builder puzzler kind of situation that you kind of have to like parse out for yourself as you go. At least that's how it felt during the Game Jam version. It's like, okay, I'm kind of learning as I go. But this is something that I feel like is new right off the bat, marking blank tiles. I don't think this was in the Jam version. Am I correct there?
Yeah, I don't think it was. Like, if it was, I didn't put it in the tutorial at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just kind of is as you start doing the combos and stuff. I found it nice to be able to like mark spaces that you want to save and make sure not to put any buildings on those spaces.
Yeah, and so what is the like the overall main goal? Because you're not marking them in the same way that you would for like Minesweeper, like where you're like trying to keep safe tiles. You're more like marking them just for your own sake of like setting up combos. Like you're really just trying to get like a maximum score here. Is that the goal? Because obviously we took a look at the leaderboards before we started as well. So like the main goal is to just get like the highest score possible on any given level.
Yeah, just build up as much points as you want, and so like you get more points by like planning out a big area, and that will combo into each other as you place one building, and that whole setup that you made will kind of cascade, and that gives you a lot of extra points. And
Okay, I see what you're saying. So like right here, I think we'll still figure this out as we go here. But like, and I really have been enjoying playing these type of games lately, where it's kind of like you're parsing the rules out as you play. That's almost like part of the experience. I really enjoy that a lot. But yeah, like even the way this tile's like vibrating. So like right away, I'm like, okay, I feel like I didn't even get to like the spikes spreading when we played the Jam version. So let's see. Spikes can only take out the buildings that haven't been used in a combo. Fill the island. And I pretty much, I just have one type of building to use here. I'm already like, what the hell am I supposed to do here? So if I put this down, I'm going to get okay, that's not what I expected would happen. I was thinking those all three were going to chain together for a double house on the left. Interesting, okay. So what does the jiggling tile mean then here? This is where the spikes are going to spread to next?
Yep, so that tile will get taken up, and then the arrow shows where it's going to move to next.
Okay, and then are you able to block that?
So, like, if you had another building set up adjacent to that, like, you could prevent that from becoming a spike tile, but you don't have the setup at the moment there.
Okay. Yeah, I'm still...
So, like, if you were to place a tower right there, you would get the points, but you'd just lose the tower right away.
Okay, I see. I place it there just for testing purposes. Okay, so I definitely gotta get my act together here, because I'm... Okay, and it can even spread and destroy your already built buildings. Okay. Interesting. That haven't been used in a combo. Okay. And then... Okay. That was just a totally pathetic island there. Tutorial complete. Okay. Terrible and pathetic, but hopefully we can figure this out a little better now that we have an open grid here, because that was just pathetic on my part. But
yeah.
What's that?
It opens up a little bit more.
Yeah,
it opens up a little bit more now. You should be able a little more room to uh, use the to plan out something at least.
Yeah. So essentially, like what you're saying is like, so I want to essentially like, if I were to set up like it in such a way where like two of these, where another one of these like yellow and red and blue buildings would like spawn together, like, and create a combo in and of themselves. Like if it, like basically you just want to chain and create multiple reactions in one move is the ideal way to
Right.
rack up points. Okay. Oh,
Yep.
and you get a few
So
undos as well. Nice.
yeah, I don't when watching other people play, I don't see a lot of people using that, and that was kind of like a last minute mechanic that was just like watching my wife play. It was like she would sometimes accidentally place the wrong block in a space, and she's like, I want to undo that. Like I want to be able to retry that, and so I did it for her.
I love it. I love it. So I'm gonna just try to see if I am sort of figuring this out here. So I'm gonna put this here, and then I'm gonna put this here. Now, will this create a chain? Yeah. Okay. I just did just to do the little mini combo, but it's like, okay, yeah. Once then, the two purple buildings spawn the RGB house, or no, not the RGB, but the red, yellow, and I'm just thinking like primary colors, but the red, yellow, and blue house, and then okay, and then those spawn and kind of level up because they got comboed together. Interesting.
Yep.
Okay, and then let's see, and then the way to block the spikes from spreading would be. How did you say to do that again exactly?
So like you can kind of see where that spike is going to move to next by the arrow. So if you were to set up um, a building that can be comboed, when it tries to take that next space, it won't be able to if they're already comboed.
Okay, and then my overall goal is just to make this combo that's down in the left. Like once I do that, that's like completes the stage. Is that how that works, or?
Um, no, actually, that is so when you make that combo, it'll change into a new one, and you just keep making those. So those, I'll let I'll let you see what they do when you make it.
Okay, nice. Okay, that's
Because
interesting.
that whole bit is completely new. So
Okay, nice. I like how you like even
I
when you
couldn't
hover
help
over it.
myself, but
I like how when you hover over it and it's like, okay, it looks like
okay.
it's gonna like like spawn some kind of like park or at least some trees pop up. So let's see.
Yeah, it just kind of shows that you can use non-combo buildings or combo buildings in the bigger combo there.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Two reds makes a purple. So I like how you got this like spread out the grid button at the bottom right here, which is really nice. Like if it's a little tough to see, I feel like once you get used to it, you'll be like, okay, now I know where all the grid pieces are. But like if you're just like, okay, I just want to make sure I don't misplace a tile here. And again, I know we mentioned this at the top too, but I really love all the just how the UI is like mostly wordless, other than the opening tutorial bits. Just like a really slick touch, I feel. Let's put this here.
Yeah, I making menus and stuff was never something I liked, but in this game it was really fun because it was like immediately visual, and you like I got like immediate feedback from it because they're all buttons and it's like you don't have to try and find the right word to convey what the option button is or whatever, or any of the other buttons.
Yeah, and they're like just satisfying to like to just press the like on-screen buttons. Like it definitely helps when you're playing like a mouse-only game to have those like actual just like tactile buttons to press. And yeah, got that first
Yeah.
combo here. Got some kind of upgrade. So replaces currently selected tile. Except at the airport? Okay. Can be placed only on the edges. Exchange for buildings. Okay, what the heck? This is not what I expected at all. Okay, here we go. Let's go... Let's go with this edge. So I can only place this on the edge. I really like how the tiles, like as you like hover over with the piece that you're gonna place, how it like wobbles back and forth. And I guess when it's like where you can't place a tile, there's like that white outline. Very slick. Can be exchanged for buildings. Okay, so let's put this up at the... Oh, and once again, the music, just really loving the vibe here. Okay, and I can just right-click on anything to get more information on that tile. Is that how that works?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, nice. Love that. So yeah, if you're like, okay, how do I combo this together? Okay, that's what that... Okay, that's super slick. Okay. So these are just upgrades of those buildings, essentially. Okay, I see. I see. So once they're comboed together, they become like an upgraded version of that building. I'm starting to get it now.
Yeah.
Now, can you combo... Okay, so it doesn't combo together. Like, you can't do an upgraded version of a building with a downgrade, you know, just like the standard base unit.
Yeah, I was tempted to, like, you know, allow you to combine upgraded buildings together to get another building, but then I would be in the same boat as my other games with adding too many mechanics. And
yeah, I know. I know with Cavity Busters, your other game. How many like updates have you done with that game? Is it technically it's out of early access now, right? Like it's like technically released, correct? Or because I know you've still been just doing updates to that game pretty frequently. I feel.
Yeah, I think over the course of early access, there was like, I think like 30, 35
I was
updates.
gonna say that was the number I was gonna pull out of my head was 30. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm done with that one. I mean, I do have from time to time little things that I want to add, and I might, but for now it's in a good spot, I think.
Yeah, it's like I said, I'm terrible at the game, but it's great. Like every time I play it, I'm like, I wish I was better at this because like I enjoy the like vibe and like the everything going on. I'm just like I just gotta like figure out a strategy. But it's a really cool game. It's got a really just like this game in a totally different aesthetic, obviously, but just like this game, it's got a very unique art style.
Somebody just told me recently, they're like, it's my favorite game that makes me feel uncomfortable. It's like, then I achieved something there.
I think I saw like you know how like Steam does those like awards or whatever at the end of the year. I think it was like I saw somebody saying like this is the game I voted for like my favorite game that I'm never gonna beat or something like that, something along those lines of like my favorite game that I'm terrible at or something along those lines. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like me. I'm pretty bad at this game and I very much enjoy it. Okay, so do I just click on this to... Okay, yeah, I do. Just click on this to create a building. Beautiful. Oh! And it just tells you what tile it's going to create next. Beautiful. So then we make our combo here. Another upgrade. Do we get the airport? Send away requested buildings that are touching it? What does that mean, requested buildings? Oh, the one, like so the combos it's requesting?
Yeah, it'll show like a little, a specific tile that it wants to send away. And so if you surround it with that tile, you'll be able to clear that space so you can place tiles on it again. And then if they're all the same tile, you get a nice bonus from that.
Okay. So right now it wants to send away the house, like the little house it looks like. So yep. I want to avoid putting those around it, or I want to put those around it.
You do want to put those around it.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm mostly just, I'm sorry if I'm asking so many questions. I'm mostly just trying to avoid looking like a total idiot. I always feel like when I'm playing these puzzle games, I'm just like the whole time just sitting there going, like just
No,
trying to
man.
figure out how to play. Just, oh man, pathetic sometimes.
No, no worries. I was watching somebody play the other night, and I was always like kind of tempted to like pop in and be like, "Oh, if you do this, you can do that or whatever." But like, eventually, like you kind of, I think things were just falling into place, and what am I trying to say here?
Like kind of like I was saying off the top,
I
or
don't
at
know.
some point, at some point, I know I was saying like part of the game is like almost like figuring out the ropes, like letting it, like you said, letting
Yeah.
it fall into place on its own accord, as opposed to, having a guide that tells you like how every little mechanic works.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Okay, let's see here. We'll get a nice.
The only time I ever pipe in is when somebody thinks that it's a bug, and I'm like, no, it's not a bug. You just missed something.
Okay, wild card accepted at the airport and in most combos, or a building block. There we go. Oh, I see. So that's like just like a triple, like it's any of those three. Okay. I see how that works. That's cool. Okay. So we'll go maybe. So that's yeah. Here I go again. So yeah, it won't like replace a tile, especially not an airport, but really any tile, right? Like if you're a combo won't like create a combo into a new, like it won't replace the building that's there.
Right, yeah. So like when it says that it's accepted at the airport, that just basically means like it'll be the building you need it to be that the airport is requesting.
Right. Okay. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Just need one more. Green patch. Here we go. Get that combo. Let's see what this building block is all about. Okay. Interesting. Now it's like, what is this red cube all about? And again, I know I've said this a few times already, but this music, every time the track changes, it's just like, oh yeah, this is awesome.
I have it playing on a different device, the music, because I can't have the Twitch stream up and hear you.
Yeah,
at
with
the same time, so
with the feedback. Yeah. It's I think it just changed over to Happy Lands, I think was the name of the track, or Happy something.
Oh yeah, I like that one. So
yeah.
you have a background in music. What do you think of like the mixing of the tracks? Like, does it sound good?
It sounds fantastic. I really love the vibe. The levels are mixed really well. I mean, I know you don't have like a lot of action and explosions going on here with the gameplay, but like even with like the way combos get chained together and like you get like a little sound effect. Like I play so many games where like I have to dig into the menus right away and like turn down the sound effects, like they're way too loud, and I didn't even think to touch anything here. Like everything just feels really nice. Like the only thing, like at first I was like, oh, is there no music in the game? Because when you first boot the game, there's like the little rippling water, and I don't think there's any music until you actually like dive into like until you press play. I could be wrong about that. Maybe it kicks in after a second and it was just like super quiet and I didn't have it set up properly right off the bat. But yeah, I really like the music is honestly a highlight of the game, both from the game jam version and now with just even more tracks to listen to. Yeah, definitely
Nice.
a highlight of the game in my opinion. Like it fits the vibe for just like, okay, yeah, I'm just gonna like take my time, make some decisions, and again, I think I mentioned I really like how it's just like that jukebox style. It's not like just gonna loop one track while you play one level over and over again. It's like just like, okay, we're just gonna like play through the soundtrack in, I'm sure you have it in a particular order, but yeah, I really like how it's laid out in the game.
Yeah. Well, good to hear. I'm glad.
Yeah.
It's like watching someone play, and I could tell they didn't really like the game that much, but they're like, they like the music. So I was like, hey, I'm cool with that because
Yeah.
that was kind of my focus was on the music.
Like just like the overall like kind of presentation and package even in general. Because yeah, like sometimes I do play a game just for the vibes sometimes, like that, like, whether I've played it a million times or it's just something that's comfortable or it's just like, okay, this isn't gonna like totally, even if it is like obviously like I'm playing like a total idiot here for the most part. Like I'm not playing in any way where I'm like you, if I was trying to maximize my scores here and stuff like that, like I could, you could really make this a head scratching puzzle game for sure. But like, sometimes you just want to like, sip on some coffee in the morning and like play a kind of low key game that isn't gonna like just test your reflexes, and like this is kind of perfect for that kind of feel.
Yeah, for sure.
Clears any tile around it, even spikes. Okay. What the heck? Well, we gotta try that. Wait, where'd it go? There we go. Okay. So if I... Okay, this is awesome. Boom, baby. Okay. Yeah, the soundtrack like it's got that like just really like low key like electro synth. Like I don't know what genre would you call this? Because again, you composed all the music here as well. So what did you? Is it all like just just stuff that came to you as you put the game together, or how did the composition of the soundtrack go?
I don't I don't know, man. I guess yeah, I think when I uploaded like a few of the tracks to like SoundCloud, I don't know, just call it electronic music, but
Yeah.
but like I mean, I would just kind of work on a melody or something until it felt like it wouldn't be irritating to listen to, because like that is mainly what you're hearing while you're playing. Like you get a few sound effects here and there, but it's like it can't be annoying, it can't be like super repetitive. So a lot of the songs are pretty short.
Yeah, and I really like,
and like most of them,
go ahead.
Most of them kind of have like they're some of them are called like oceans or like flying or something simple like that. But to me, when I was making them, it's like they kind of felt like that. Like, is this a song if I was flying, would I be listening to this? Or like, if I was at the ocean, would you maybe hear that in the background?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of what I was going for.
I like that. Yeah. And again, yeah, I really like the presentation of like how the name of the track pops up at the bottom, like with the little, again, that's sort of what, like, that's always what I think of, like when I say jukebox style, where it's just like, okay, it almost feels like, yeah, like the game has its own soundtrack, like, but it's not necessarily tied to like the progression of the game. It's just kind of like, here's a soundtrack for you. And it's just like you said, I like that. I really like, just how it like plays out. Like I feel like you could just play this for hours and like not really realize how much time has gone by.
Yeah, I wanted to make a mode where it was kind of like everything was automatic. Like tiles would get placed automatically, but like you could just have it on in the background. Like I was gonna like remove all the UI and yeah, and it would just play the songs. It would loop them, and then I was gonna have like a little soundtrack that you could like if you wanted to pick the song you wanted to listen to. But
That's pretty cool. That way, yeah, almost like a like screensaver almost, because yeah, with like the little boats going by and the frog popping up in the background and stuff.
Yeah,
That's a cool
maybe
idea.
someday.
Yeah, yeah. I just really like, yeah, for a game that's like mostly stationary, and I forgot that I had the grid kind of spread out. Man, look at how tight that gets when you uh, tighten up that grid. That's crazy. I like how you have the two options though. That's cool because I feel like again too, like this game, I think it's I don't. Can you play on a touch screen? Because I feel like it would actually play really well on a like an iPad or something.
Yeah, I've been looking into that actually about putting it on a phone because
Nice.
that's
Yeah, I guess
what
phones are big enough
a lot
these
of
days. It
people
doesn't
have
have to
been.
be an iPad. A phone's big enough these days too.
Yeah, yeah, whatever device you got, I guess. But
Yeah.
I don't know the first thing about bringing something to a phone or a mobile device, so
Yeah, that would definitely be
doing some
cool though.
research.
Yeah, yeah, because like you could, yeah, it would definitely play pretty well. I feel like you'd have to definitely, because I feel like it works really well to be able to just like use the scroll wheel up and down here, like that kind of like you know keeps you from having to tap all the time. But yeah, I'm sure there's ways to get around it. Because yeah,
Hmm.
again, this could be like, oh, you're on the bus in the morning on your again, I'm about to leave Chicago here, but I'm thinking like, okay, I'm riding the train or the bus in the morning, like going to work. This would be the perfect thing to just like, play a run of in the morning and not like, I guess like kind of get your brain firing, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, get the combo there.
So if you click on your airport, you can see what that does for you.
Oh, I was thinking it was gonna automatically clear. Ah, okay, I see. I was just thinking about a few turns ago. I was thinking like, huh, I wonder what that airport. Maybe because I leveled up those houses, it didn't clear them out of the way. I see. I see. And I really like that UI. How there's just like that little, like almost like it's like a balloon, almost like it's like tethered, hanging on a string, and just like how all the tiles like kind of squish and juice together, or not together, but like how they kind of like squish as you hover over them.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
it's hard to like. I didn't want to make UI that was like obnoxious, but it's like, how do you get people to click on something you want them to click on? So, it kind of failed in that respect, I think. But
no, but I think it is a game that encourages you to like experiment and play around a little bit too.
yeah,
Okay, let's see here.
but like, there's some other like subtle things like I added in, like when the airport is ready to send buildings away, you'll hear like a little airplane taking off, or like
Okay.
when the shipyard has tiles for you to pick from, there'll be like a little foghorn that goes off.
Oh yeah, I wasn't even paying attention to the ship over here. Let's see. There we go. There it is. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So how much would you say that you changed this game from like what you had in mind during the game jam, and then what you um have like here now? Like how much of a different game? Because like to me playing now, like it feel like there's definitely feels like there's a nice huge layer of polish and definitely some new ideas, but for the most part it does feel like it's just kind of the same concept, but like just expanded and given a little more depth. Like, but it feels like you had a lot of this like pretty well thought out during the game jam itself.
Yeah, like the this mode that you're in is like basically the extent of the extra mechanics, because you can play in like the classic mode, and I think that is identical to what the game jam version was.
Okay.
I mean, besides like um, polish and making sure things were um, reliable. Like the combos would fire off that you expect to fire off, because in the game jam version, like sometimes they just wouldn't
Right.
fire off when they should have. But
Right. And then there
but
so there
but
are some
like
new
with
modes and stuff like that as well.
yeah, so there's advanced and then there's classic mode, and that's it. Like, but there's um you can set the spikes to spread on a timer, so that one's kind of like a speed round. You place tiles as fast as you can, basically, before the spikes fill up.
Okay.
Um, and then there's different island types, so you can get one that kind of has used up blocks in it already that kind of make out like a little shape of like water like flowing through the island, kind of.
Okay.
But yeah, it is pretty much the same game.
Yeah, that's cool though, because I feel like like I don't know, it could be easy to like start like leaning into like over scoping or just thinking like, oh, I can add so many things or change so many things that I didn't have in mind, or like I don't know, I just feel like there can be like I don't know, it's just cool to see that like, okay, yeah, let me just expand. Okay, so these building blocks, do these just like I feel like these just level up. Like if you can get enough of them, you can just keep. I'm sure there's an end to it, but I feel like they keep just like upgrading potentially. That's a cool mechanic.
There's an end to it, and the building you get from it is big points.
Nice. Nice. That's cool. I like how there's like like a little more of like an overall sense of progression as you like pick between those upgrades and whatnot. Like nothing crazy, but then yeah, you could play more of that like that speed mode that you were talking about, or I forget what the name of it that you said, but like more, I feel like that's like a little more arcadey in the regard of like you're trying to like race against the spikes a little bit. Like so there's a few different like because like here you like I know I'm not playing all that cleverly here, but like you're kind of like meant to be like, okay, let me think out every little move, and you could really kind of take your time with it. I like how you can shift up which way you want to play, basically.
Yeah, like the scores on the leaderboards. So for this game mode, the top score is like 200,000, and then like the next one is like 80. So
okay.
Like there's a big range of like how you can play it, and I think that's nice. Like when I was playtesting it with my wife, like she got like close to 300,000, and I think she could have kept going, but she was like, I gotta go outside and do something. So
Yeah.
like she just kind of killed her round on purpose. But
Yeah, I just did that yesterday. Like half, I ended up like I half died, half sort of mailed it in when I was playing Tile Tale from Sock Pop, and I was just kind of like breezing through, and it was just like, oh man, this runs like I was like almost making like just haphazard decisions. Like I wasn't trying to lose per se, but I was like, I just like something. I have to make some crazy decisions because otherwise, I feel like this run's never gonna end. I had made some decisions that like wouldn't let my score go up high enough, so like to like level up quickly enough. Where that, I guess you wouldn't run into that issue with the way this game's structured. I don't think you'd more just be like, yeah, it'd more just be like about if you just want to keep racking up the points.
yeah, so like when you do at a certain point in this round, the spikes will start to spread faster. So that's kind of an attempt to make sure that your round doesn't last forever, and it will eventually end.
Nice. I do like that when there's like that slow progression of like, just like feeling the pressure get put on a little bit, little by little as you play the game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to try to get that combo here. Nice. Get another building block here. Where can I put this thing? Let's put it over here, I guess. Probably not the best move, but...
So a thing with those building blocks, they combo with the wild card tower.
Ah. Interesting. Not what I expected at all. I guess I should have known that based on, yeah, what the description of the wild card is, but yeah, I'm really loving this music. Yeah, I'm probably gonna say that like 25 more times throughout this stream, but it's the perfect vibe for the game. Truly the perfect vibe.
Nice. I'm glad you like it.
Yeah. What is your background in music? Like, is it just something you've kind of picked up through doing game dev over the years and just kind of like, oh, I'm gonna, I feel like a lot of game devs like just try to, just end up dabbling in like all the different elements of making games at some point or another. But is that how you got into it, or do you have a music background beyond that?
So my brothers introduced me to like Fruity Loops when I was younger.
Yeah.
And so I messed around on that a lot when I was a kid, and then I play traditional instruments too, like guitar and stuff, and
nice.
But yeah, like so like Cavity Busters, somebody else did the music. A guy named Ben did all the music for that.
Okay.
And so like my game prior to that, I had done the music too, and so I was kind of missing that aspect of it, of like making a song that like fit the theme of a game. And so
yeah, just kind of scratching the itch a little bit.
I've been I've been making music my whole life pretty much. Like I recorded stuff in my bedroom when I was a little kid and that kind of stuff.
Nice. Okay, so last tile placed. I sort of not necessarily mailed it in, but it was just like, okay, I'm clearly not gonna. Well, I'm certainly not gonna beat your wife's 300,000 point score. Jeez, but 28,000, not a bad first attempt there. Oh, and I can grab these buildings.
That's not bad at all.
Almost. Yeah, not terrible. Let's check the leaderboard here. I know I'm not gonna be on there. Oh, wait a sec. Oh wait, but I wasn't playing classic. I was like, wait a sec, maybe I am gonna be on here. Advanced, not even close. I'll take an 8th ranking. Not bad.
Hey, nice.
I like how there's. Okay, so between the modes, so how do you switch between the different modes here?
With the play button.
Okay.
You'll get some options for the modes then.
Ah, I see. So it just like the way we went last time, like straight out of the tutorial.
Yeah, yep.
Okay, so advanced mode, extra mechanics, and 12 buildings to use. So that's what we were just playing. Island shape.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So these are all 3 different settings. I was thinking these were the 3 different modes. These are like 3 different. Nice. Okay, so you can have like, okay, I want it to just be a little more basic. That's really cool. Island shaped island. That's hilarious. Random, that's also amazing. And then spikes on a timer, leaderboard deactivated. Interesting. I'm surprised at that. I could almost see that being like the main leaderboard mode. Like, okay, high score with the pressure on. Interesting.
Yeah, maybe I should do that. That'd be cool.
I could see both, because obviously they're like, I just feel like it's almost like it's the same game, obviously, but it's like 2 totally different mentalities of like playing the game. That's really cool. And then you can do no spikes at all. That makes sense, yeah, to have the leaderboards off for that for sure. What kind of island shape do I want to do here? Maybe we'll do random with everything. Why not? Random with everything, normal spikes.
Yeah, sure.
Let's do another run here. Oh yeah, this is cool. Now I wonder, I'm assuming I'm not ever going to be able to like turn those into land, but I could be wrong about that.
I'll just tell you now, you are wrong about that.
Nice. So yeah, maybe the combos and stuff will create what I need. That's cool. Okay. So let's just start it off since I got the pieces I need. Just get this tile right off the bat. Let's get this shipping yard or cargo. We'll put this in the top right. Then let's see. Okay. Now let's start thinking about turning some of this into land here. So if we go... Okay, here we go. There we go. Okay, yeah, this is really cool. I really like this. Yeah, I feel like just between all the different settings, between whether you play like island or random or whichever, like, I feel like you can really, like, I don't know, it just changes up the mentality of the way you're playing quite a bit with each individual,
Yeah.
like, gameplay
Yeah.
mode tweak.
I liked being able to, like, instead of just having like very strict rules for each mode, like I like being able to make them so that they're combinable and you can mix and match them. And like
Yeah.
that's kind of what I did in Cavity Busters too, is like you can combine like all the different game modes together and you just create this monster of a round. Or you can just like, you know, add only the hard modes to it or add only the easier modes to it, and
Yeah,
kind
that
of
is
like
really
creates.
cool. Like play your, like, kind of,
Yeah.
Burger King style. Like play your own way, like it really is like
Yeah.
I really do like games that like approach difficulty in that way. Like there's not necessarily like an easy, normal, hard. There's just like kind of like find the play style and mode that suits your approach best. And obviously
Yeah.
you can dig into I'm sure people can get into all three or all, more than just three, I guess, with all the different combinations. But yeah,
Mhm.
I really like that approach to difficulty every time. I'm a big fan, and it works very well here. And I like now that I'm on like the
Yep. As
random
I get
island.
older,
Go ahead, go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say, as I get older, like being able to make a game easier is always nice.
Yeah, I totally feel you there. I like just the other day I was playing a platformer and like just like even just dying like a few times I was just like I was playing Frog Gun and I was just like, oh man, like I just like I'm used to like just being able to kind of breeze, like I was playing Super Mario World before that and I'm like I'm kind of used to just being able to like breeze through these levels, not dying very often, like I'm just like not up for that retro difficulty all the time anymore.
How is that game? I saw it circling around. It looks sweet.
I'm very, very much enjoying it. Like we just talked about it on the podcast last night, and yeah, it's really sweet. Like it feels very much like almost like an isometric platformer, like those old school like 16-bit ones that were like, except you can like freely rotate the camera, but like it almost feels like if Captain Toad Treasure Tracker were like a more intense like they're like it's definitely like there's more precise platforming than I was expecting, that's for sure. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I was just like not expecting that, and it was just like, oh man, I'm getting my ass handed to me by this game, but I'm loving it. Really, really enjoying that game a lot.
Nice. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's got just like really, really great sense of style, really cool. Yeah, just I really like everything about it. Um, Let's see. Now, where do I want to put this building to clear some of this? How about right here? Okay, I can't put it there. Okay, and it can't clear, like, the main spike spawning thing, it seems. Okay. So let's put
You should
this
be
here.
able. Were you not able to place that on like the little blue tiles?
I don't think so. I could be
I think you
wrong, but I
should.
don't think so.
Okay.
The previous building, like the one that clears the area.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so. Maybe I sometimes my mouse click on the mouse that I have like doesn't register once in a while, but I'm pretty sure I just swapped out the batteries. I'm pretty sure that's why it wasn't working recently. But I'll try it.
Okay.
I'll give it a try next time I get one of those to double check here. Okay.
It's very possible it's broken.
Oh shoot! I put that red building where I wanted to put this grass tile. God damn it. Okay. Not the end of the world. But I was all set up to make the combo down here. Shoot. Or at least I had that in mind. Let's plop that there. I like how just right there you're like, okay, there was my previous high score. Again, just really great UI and stuff overall.
Thanks, man.
No problem.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Let's see. So my initial instinct was that like if I made a combo, it would then like create the building that it was going to create like in the water, but that's not how that didn't happen in those cases. So I'm like, okay, how do I create new land here? I wonder if it has to actually be these like grass tiles.
Yeah, the main way is with like those towers that will clear spikes and stuff.
I see.
Because like you should be able to place those on the water, on the little blue water tiles, but
Okay.
maybe that's not working as intended.
Let's see, where do I want to put this grass tile here? I guess let's just put them over here, get the little park.
So do you make games? Or have you? Or?
I've only ever worked on one game with a friend of mine where I was only helping in the sense of like coming up with ideas. I did plug in a few of like the RGB values for some of the palette in the code, and then I did all the music and the sound effects for it. It was actually like a little project that we did, not for a game jam or anything, but he had never worked on a game before, other than maybe like some small like little programming exercises, but he does coding and programming for work and stuff. And at the start of the pandemic and stuff, like at the very beginning of like when everything was like shut down, lockdown, we were just like, we kind of dove into that and tried to like make a game in a month. And pretty proud of what we came up with. We had like ambitions to like turn it into a full game, but we got way too ahead of ourselves and probably won't get around to it. Although I don't want to say never. But yeah, it was like our plan, like the big picture idea was like to make like a roguelike structured, roguelite or whatever. We were like playing as an electron, fighting your way through the periodic table of elements and kind of like a twin stick shooter. But where you're like attached to the rings of the electron rings. I forgot what they're even called. We did like all the research for like, what we had like all the terminology down for. Felt like I was back in science, chemistry, or biology class again. But yeah, I feel like it's like a decent idea, and the game we have is like decently playable and fun, and I'm pretty happy with the music. I actually used some of the music in the for like Pursuing Pixels podcast stuff here and there for like some of the Save It for the Cast episodes, and like just the little like transition music here and there. But yeah, it was a really fun project. Like, it's something that I would like to get more into potentially down the road. But yeah, I have no actual like programming or coding experience or anything like that.
Okay. Nice. That sounds cool.
Yeah, it was fun. How long have you been making games for?
Um, hmm, I think maybe 8 years. That doesn't seem right, but I think that's what it is.
Jeez, yeah. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out. So if I go play now, how would I go back to like starting a fresh run, but not with the random island here?
So you'll have to go back to the menu and delete the little save file. That's like your
Oh,
saved run.
I see. So that's just like for a particular like okay, so that's cool. You can actually like leave a run and pick up where you left off if you do have a run like your wife was having where it's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I'm like at the 200,000 points and like I want to keep this going, but I don't necessarily want to keep playing this for like 3 hours straight cuz I there are games like that where you just like get good enough at them where you almost feel like you can infinitely play it. It's cool that you can potentially keep that run going for as long as you see fit.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if it was a good idea to add like the ability to save and quit a run that could potentially be uploaded to a leaderboard, but eh,
I think that's a
it's
good.
like
I think that's a nice
it fits with
touch. Like especially if
yeah,
there's like that
it
chance that
fits
you're
with
having a
the
great.
whole vibe of everything.
Yeah, I agree. And if you're having that like off chance where you're like having a great run and you hit a something crashes or something something happens and maybe it saves the run or whatever I don't know, you never know what could happen. um
Yeah.
but that's a cool feature. But I think I'm gonna go back to the regular basic square. Or should I, yeah, I think I got to do the basic square. I'm not high level enough to do to deal with random just yet. Okay, let's get back to the basics here. Let's see if I can't do a little better now that I sort of know what I'm doing. Very much a sorta, but let's see.
Yeah, it looks good to me, man.
Like my instinct is always like I see that like make this combo, and then my brain goes, oh yeah, make that as quick as you can. It's like, okay, you don't have to like do it right away. Um, but best I can tell, that's the only way you can get those like upgraded tiles, right? Or can you get them from just reaching like a certain point total?
Yeah, so like there's a little clear bar on the bottom of your screen that'll slowly fill up as you do smaller combos.
Ah,
So like if
okay.
you just do two buildings together. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Nice. I actually was thinking that was like just like the progress of the music track or something. Like I've only ever kind of glanced down at that bar. Um and that was just
Oh yeah.
what my instinct was, since that's kind of where like the name of the song pops up. I was like, "Oh yeah, that's probably just like a little UI thing for the tunes." Which once again, I'll just take a moment to mention how much I'm loving them. I love when I'm like playing like either on a stream or doing anything like that, like just because I happen to play like, because a lot of times when I'm playing games otherwise, like I'll just like have a podcast on, depending on the game. Like obviously if it's like something that's like a totally, but like for a game like this, if I've already like learned the ropes, I've kind of got the vibe with the music. Like even if I have it on in the background, a lot of times I will play like with a podcast on, or I'm something else on in the background, where like when I'm streaming, I've got the headphones on and I'm like really kind of like fully appreciating the entire experience of the game. Or when I'm doing a video or whatever, and I really, really enjoy. It makes me think like more often where I'm like, yeah, you know what? I don't always need to have a podcast on while I'm playing something.
That's what I like appreciate about what you do with like playing games and stuff. It's like you're so excited about it that it's like it's hard to not also catch that enthusiasm for like what you're playing. Like it's awesome. I love it.
I appreciate that. Yeah. I definitely try to I try to spend as little time as possible doing any of the stuff that's like not fun. Just like, just like the tedious stuff of like uploading and rendering stuff and making thumbnails. Like I'm just like keep all that stuff as basic as possible. So like for the most part, I'm just doing the fun stuff of playing games and having fun. So it's like I'm not really ever feeling like, oh, I'm like grinding and like I gotta upload this, and like I don't know. I feel like I see a lot of people like complaining about like the process, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna like avoid the stuff that's not fun. Like some of it you got to do some of that stuff, obviously, but like keep the descriptions bare bones. I'm just like, here's a link for the game, and that's it. Like, I don't need to do anything crazy. But yeah, it ensures that I'm able to like make it a fun process, like always, pretty much. Which it's, and again, like kind of just like being choosy about the games we play, and like I feel like I've just like really gotten good at like knowing what I like and being pretty good. Like I'm not 100% right all the time. I've definitely been burned where I'm like, oh, this game looks sweet, and I play it and I'm like, it looked a little better than it ended up being. But for the most part, I feel like I'm pretty good at tracking down the stuff I like, and just ending up enjoying it. Like I feel like it's very rare that I'm excited for a game and then I play it and it ends up being a bust.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty good feeling. Okay, so it immediately does turn into a spike, okay.
And it helps that there's a never-ending stream of games these days.
It's got to be, yeah. Like, how does that feel as like a solo developer? Like I don't know. That's got to be overwhelming in that sense of just like, there's just like a non-stop onslaught of video games, just like never-ending. Like it's got to be hard to just, I don't even know if compete is the right word, but just even to like get eyeballs on to have anyone even know that the game exists. It's got to be difficult. Because there are times where I'm like posting about a game where I'm like, oh, everybody knows about this game. Like I almost feel like it almost feels ridiculous that I'm even bothering to post about this, and then like people will be like, oh man, I can't, like even I was posting about Into the Breach update, and a bunch of people have been like, oh, I didn't even know there was a new update, and I was like thinking, oh, everybody knows this game, and everybody whatever, and like I've been getting a bunch of people like, oh, thanks for mentioning this, I had no idea never heard of this game before, and like it's just crazy like how even a game that seems like pretty ubiquitously well known, it's like nobody knows about it. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely, if you think about it too much, it is a little bit stressful, but it's like I try to just make games for fun and just like not worry about what it's gonna how it's gonna be received. Like that's not super important to me. Like it's nice when people enjoy it, like I love that, but it takes a lot of the stress out to just not worry about it. Just like make a game that I want to make, and I hope people want to play it. And if they don't, that's fine.
Yeah, I like that approach. I feel like that's sort of similar to like what I was just saying about like the pursuing pixels stuff, with like just like being like, okay, I'm just gonna play the stuff I want to play. Don't spend too much. Like just focus on the stuff I like, and like if people like it too, cool. And if they don't, I'm just gonna keep playing the stuff that I like, and the people will eventually come. The people that will like your games will come around. Because like I don't know, you're not gonna have fun. Like I always thought about that, like being a music guy. Like I always thought like I never would, if I ever had to like make music for a living, I don't know that I would like that necessarily. Because like I wouldn't want to have to write a song because I had to write a new song. I would just want to like write it when I feel inspired to, and write what I feel like writing, and So I feel like that's always, whenever you're doing anything, at least for me, doing anything with like that involves any kind of creative process, it's just like do what you like, and people will eventually find it, and they'll resonate with it, even if it's not a ton of people. Like the people that do resonate with it will really love and appreciate it. So, and that's more rewarding than just like being like, oh, I want to make something that a bunch of people are gonna like.
Yeah, I've like seen all like the Vampire Survivor clones kind of coming out lately. And like I think those games are definitely fun, but I don't know. And I think they seem to be successful. Like even the ones that are pretty blatantly clones, but like I know they're doing something different, so like calling it a clone is not fair. But
but just for the sake of conversation, I know what you mean.
But it I don't know. I hope those people are still having fun making games, I guess. Like
if it just feels like it's like a cash grab of like, oh hey, this is the hot new genre, like I gotta make one of these, I get maybe make the next big thing. I know what you mean. Like it you
Yeah.
hope there's the passion there for sure. But just like with any artistic endeavor, there's always people just trying to like make a quick buck and whatever. But that said, I have seen some games that I haven't even played Vampire Survivors, but there have been a few games that do look to be like clearly inspired by that. That I'm like, oh, this looks really cool. Like there's definitely I'm a sucker for
Yeah.
like twin stick like wave-based arcade games, so I'm certainly not going to complain about that kind of stuff. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's just like, oh, hey, this game's a success. Like, I'm going to try to make my version of that. It's like, oh, if that's the only inspiration you have for making the game, then, that might not be the right track.
Yeah. Yeah, that's also weird. Like, why is that game so popular? Because I feel like those types of games have been around forever, but all of a sudden, like, they must be doing something different, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, to be honest, like the only thing I've ever really heard is like people saying like, "Oh, it's so addictive to play like the gameplay loop, like
Oh,
the way it
okay.
like kind of like, just like the way it parses out the buffs in a certain pace and whatever. It just like has like an addictive, natural loop to the way things play out. But yeah, I haven't really heard anybody like say anything in particular about the gameplay that they love. Not to say that there isn't anything in particular that they love, but yeah, it seems like the main thing I've come across is people just being like, yeah, it's so addicting. Which is not necessarily, I mean,
Yeah.
there's games that I love that are, like Downwell or something that I find very addictive in a way that is fun to me, but it's like very much like I could play one more run, for till what feels like till the end of time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
what are
I
go ahead.
considered very briefly. I considered very briefly like those games seem like they'd be fairly simple to make too. So I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I could make one if I wanted, but then again, it's like it's not really something I feel like making. Like I want to do something new. Feel like I've done all I can with bullet hells and whatnot, but
Right, right. Now, how do you
yeah, yeah.
like? What are some of your favorite games, like just in general, whether they were like an influence on this game or not? But what are some of your like games that just kind of inspired you to like get into wanting to make games in the first place?
Um, so let's see. Not this game didn't make me want to make games, but it's like one of my favorite games. So Final Fantasy X is probably my favorite game.
Okay, I've only ever played like a
Um,
time. I own it just because I was like somebody who bought like any big game at the time, and like so I own it on PS2. But I think I've only ever played like the first hour or two, like I do with every JRPG.
yeah, I that's that's how I play JRPGs these days too. It's like, oh, that
Yeah,
looks cool. Pick it up and then play it for a little bit, and then I'm done with it. But
yeah, just like I don't have
uh,
120 hours to spend on this.
yeah, no kidding. But like games that made me want to make games were like Nuclear Throne was one,
Okay, yeah,
and
Vlambeer, you gotta love them.
yeah, and so like they use the same um, engine that I use, so it's kind of like somebody could. I don't know. That was kind of the first time I realized that you could make a a good game on something that I always thought like, oh, I have to go to school to learn how to code and all that, and but
Right,
like
right.
obviously that's not true because everybody is making a game these days.
Yeah, and what engine are you using? I don't know if I caught it at the top.
uh, Game Maker Studio.
Nice. Nice. I've heard a few people mention that, whether not necessarily for Nuclear Throne, but I've heard a few people say like there was like one particular game that they played and they were like, "Oh, you can make that good of a game in Game Maker," and it just like clicked in their brain like, "I want to try to make games." And that's actually what we used in the game
Yeah.
that my friend and I used to work on over the pandemic. We also developed in Game Maker just
Oh,
because it's
nice.
like, okay, this is like reasonably priced. We bought like at the time it had like the one-time license fee or whatever, and we were just like, okay, yeah, we can buy that and see what happens. And they have that, and we, like I said, we haven't done anything since with it, but still just cool that it's so accessible. Like again, it sort of makes it tougher in the sense that like there's a million games now and tougher to I don't know. It's a double-edged sword where it's like, okay, yeah, it's awesome that the tools are so accessible, but at the same time, because there's so, just like with music too, like there's so many bands and artists out there that I'm sure I would love if I ever stumbled across their stuff, but I'm just, who knows if and when that's ever going to happen.
Yeah. Yep.
So it is that double-edged sword, but it is awesome because, like, we're getting so many games like on a. Even like I say this all the time on the podcast, like I could honestly just play stuff from game jams and never buy a game again if I want, just like and just donate to like cool game jam games that I find after just keeping up with that would be enough. For me, to be honest, I don't need to have like all these super deep gaming experiences all the time. So it's just crazy how many games are out there.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's overwhelming sometimes, but it's nice. It's like you get so many new, like I think about you playing games. It's like you get so many different experiences that people, like most people who play games, will probably never have.
Yeah, I think about that all the time too. I'm just like, man, I'm so glad I like catalog these in some way, shape, or form. Like I hope there's somebody out there who, because I know like when I find something new, like whether it's a new podcast or a new whatever, I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna like go check out their other stuff or like go dig through their lists or whatever, try to find like, okay, where's some games that I might have missed out on? So I hope there's someone out there going like, oh, nice, I just found a treasure trove of game recommendations here.
Yeah,
I love when I stumble across that. Ever since I followed.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
So I started following your curator program and like the IGC and some other person, and like the game recommendations I get now are so awesome. Like games I'd never seen before that are just like, and I used to kind of pride myself on like looking and finding, niche games and stuff, but like, yeah, I see all sorts of cool games that like, man, I want to play that, but like also I don't have the time to play that, but
yeah, it's like I have to like almost like live vicariously through people all the time. Like, okay, cool, they're enjoying these games, like that's cool. I mean, there's so many games that I buy that I never play, like or play for a few minutes and just go, that's pretty cool, and then like never have time to really dig into it much deeper than that. But thankfully, that's kind of just the way I play games, anyways. Like, I don't know, I used to play games and like finish out the campaign or the story and stuff, and I actually used to always try to go for like 100% all the time, and I'm just like, Breath of the Wild broke me. Like once they started like having like, okay, there's 900 of these Korok seeds, I was just like, okay, yeah, I definitely don't care that much. And then I was just like, you know what, like I'm just gonna like, even like I still haven't beaten Breath of the Wild, and I just started like roaming around looking for shrines until they became like fewer and further between, and it was just like, okay, this is just tedious now to play. Like I do want to beat the game eventually, but I'm just like, one day. But I kind of just like play the game for what I enjoy about it, and that's all I need to do. I don't really need to do anything beyond that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like there was a time when it was like you wanted a game that was gonna last you a long time, because like games were always $60, and so it's like you had to make sure your money was spent well so you could play this game forever until you build up more money to buy the next game. But now it's like you can buy 10 little experiences that cost between $1 and $10, and you almost get more value with that than a 60-hour $60 game.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I just like, we were just talking about Frog Gun earlier, and I was talking about that on the podcast. I was like, this game is like $15, and it's actually another game that we were checking out with our indie game collective pals, but it was like, even on the launch, it had like a 20% discount. So it's like, this game was on sale for $12 at launch, and there's like I think I played like 10 levels, a dozen levels already, and I'm like maybe 16% on my file. Like, it's like, there's clearly, I mean, there's like a bunch of challenges on each stage, but like man, that game is jam packed, and I'm like, I don't have the time to do all this stuff. Like, even if I wasn't playing a million games, like, but it's like, it's crazy to think that like a game like that could have easily been $60 back in the day, and yeah, now it's like a $12 game when it launches. You know, it's just crazy. And there'd probably even still be people who would say, I find it hard to believe that actually that anybody would say that game's like lacking in just stuff to do or whatever. But I'm sure there'd still be people who go, it's a little short or something like that. And I'm thinking like, oh my God, this game is massive. Like, I'm kind of like of the mindset, I really only want to spend like 4 or 5 hours on a game these days. Maybe 8 if it's like a really amazing experience. But like, yeah, that's about really all I have the patience for these days.
Yeah. Yep, same. I just I go through my Steam library sometimes, and it's just like full of games that just take too long to make or too long to play, and it's just like, oh, I'd like to try that, but I'll just keep playing Into the Breach.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've been playing lately. Just like non-stop runs of that new Into the Breach update. Can't stop, won't stop.
Oh, it's so good.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Who knows why Netflix is getting into games, but I'll happily reap the rewards for the time being.
Yeah, it finally makes my Netflix subscription worth something.
Yeah. I just actually, I had it on Switch already, so like the update came with it. But yeah, very cool. And hey, what's going on, Burrito? We're hanging out with Space, my friend here, who's actually the developer of City Limits, which is the game that we're playing at the moment. Which is actually also a game that began life as a Pursuing Pixels James Jam game. Every time I say that, like, I'm always worried I'm gonna say it wrong. Just lean into my ridiculousness as much as possible. Like, how dumb of a name can I possibly make this? I was a little worried actually, like making like hosting the jam. I was like, is like nobody gonna sign up for this because it sounds so stupid? But I almost wonder if people are like, oh, this sounds silly enough that maybe this could be cool.
I think you should say it different every time.
Yeah, I'm always like, oh, which one is it? Is it James Jam or is it Game Gam first? I can't remember. But yeah, it's just like, how much alliteration can I cram into this name here?
Hello, Burrito.
Yeah, the music is fantastic. I've said that probably like 25 times on this stream so far, and it needs to be said 25 more because it's just the perfect vibe. And totally agree that the pixel art is just tops. I don't know how to like quite describe it. Like, it almost has like a crayon style quality to it, like not in like the Yoshi's Island sense, but it's almost like kind of like a scribbly quality. I don't know how to explain it exactly, but it has like this like hand-drawn crayon kind of quality. Like, did you have any particular inspiration with the art style here? Like, well, other than your own personal inspiration?
Yeah, initially I was like gonna make a Into the Breach clone, like when I started the jam, but so like that's kind of the tiles, which I know that's not what the tiles look like on Into the Breach, but
it's like a grid in a similar, like that kind of isometric diagonal grid.
Yeah. Well, like I guess I was trying to keep the color palette to a minimum. I think there's only like 10 colors maybe in it, but yeah, I mean, if you look at my last games, this is not quite the art style I usually do. Like, I usually try to make, because I'm bad at art, so I try to like make things look messy on purpose so that it's like, oh, that's the art style he's going for, so they can't really
I wouldn't
me for that. But.
I definitely would not say that you're bad at art. I really like the aesthetic of both this game and Cavity Busters as well. But I know what you mean about that, like sloppy. I think that might be what I'm kind of going at with like that kind of crayon aesthetic. Like they have like a scribbly, almost like At first, I didn't actually realize that Cavity Busters was pixel art. Like, it almost looked like it had this like hand-drawn aesthetic, like in a way that it just took me a minute to be, oh, that is pixel art. Okay, which is really cool.
You might make some pixel art enthusiasts mad by saying Cavity Busters is pixel art because it's not traditional pixel art.
It's not pixel perfect.
No, it is not.
That's funny. Yeah, there's always the sticklers out there. Always the sticklers.
Yeah.
Too funny. And
That's okay.
Burrito, I was saying at the top of the stream here, like, what kind of game is this here? I was like, it's almost like a puzzle city builder Minesweeper hybrid. Like, I feel like it's kind of like elements of all of those games with like maybe some very light deck building, like not deck building, but you're kind of like, just the way you swap out your tiles and the way you can pick some upgrades. Like, it has like a very minor deck building quality to it in that regard. But I'd say that's a decent way to describe the gameplay. But I guess if you had to pick one genre, it's a puzzle game. I don't know if you'd agree with that, Space, but yeah. I'd say that's probably the one I would pick if I had to pick just one.
Yep, I would say puzzle game is a good way to describe it. It's definitely hard to sell it as a city builder. There's like zero economy and all the crazy things that go into a city builder.
Yeah. Hey, what's going on, Rafa? Yeah, what's the difference between pixel art and a low-res image? I don't know, because I've seen some photos that are turned into Game Boy pixel art that looks pretty dang good. So, yeah, I guess I don't know. Gotta love those old Game Boy cameras.
Oh, yeah. I remember I had some friends who had those.
Yeah, our pal Zandan in the Discord has taken some pictures of her cat on the Game Boy. I think it was her cat. Maybe it was just a regular cat image, but I feel like it wouldn't be right if it wasn't a picture of one of Zandan's cats. But yeah, there was some I was like, oh, this is like pretty impressive tech, especially because like back in the day, couldn't you like take like your Game Boy into like GameStop or Funko Land or whatever and like actually like get your stuff printed? Or there was even like the Game Boy printer, but I think you could, maybe I'm thinking of like the Pokemon stuff that you could do where you could like go and get the Pokemon Snap pictures if you like took your memory card in. Might be mixing up my GameStop Funko Land memories.
Yeah, I don't remember. I had like the basic, like I had a Game Boy Pocket. I never had anything else. Oh, I guess I had an SP one.
I never had an SP. That's actually, I think, the one Game Boy I never had. I had almost every other one. Probably not every other one, but almost every other Game Boy except that one. The SP was nice, too. That was cool. A really nice form factor, yeah.
Yeah, just like that perfect little square. It was
and that like super bright screen, like at least compared to the original Game Boy Advance, it was like, oh man, this is night and day compared to what I was working with before.
Yeah. I have legal proof of you reducing my purse allowance to nothing. I'm sorry.
Typical me. That's why I have a bunch of people who are always like, God, you got to stop with the recommendations, man. You're killing me. I'm like, I try to post like stuff when they're on sale sometimes too, you know? Because I'm so bad about that too. Like, I'll just fire up the Switch and just like browse the eShop and stuff on sale and just like, okay, let me just buy all these games that I'm gonna play for 5 minutes and or never play again. That's part of the reason I started making the videos and stuff, was because I was like, God, I'm never gonna play these if I don't like start forcing myself. And then I was like, and I don't want to just like ramble about all these random games on the podcast that like Randall and John have never heard of before, and I'm just like, hey, like, can you guys watch videos on these like 10 games so you know what I'm talking about? Just like, okay, let's rein this in a little bit. I can do some videos on the side, and then we can kind of talk about, you know, the more like conversational stuff on the podcast. It's kind of cool how things have evolved over time.
Yeah.
Because we definitely started out with like just a podcast was like really all we intended on doing, and then it was just like, I got too much shit I want to talk about. I got to do more.
I guess I can accuse you of making me buy a game. I bought the Cyber Protocol on the Switch.
Oh,
I
nice,
always see you
nice.
posting about it.
I love that.
That's a fun game. I like that.
I love that game, and I reference that game like whenever I play a game that uses that style of mechanics, like where you're pressing either like up, down, left, or right, and then you're kind of like, you know, shooting all the way in one direction or the other until you hit an obstacle. I'm always referencing that game on
Yeah.
the podcast, and then I'm like, wait, probably no one knows that game. Too funny. Too funny. Hey, Burrito, I have like my Chromebook open for chat, so I don't have anything handy to like paste a link. But if you look up just Space My Friend on Twitter, or I'll like post a link and stuff. But I think I have like the proper game in the description where you can check out City Limits at least. But yeah, if you guys saw my streaming setup, I say this all the time, but I'm just like, if you saw what I was working with here, it's just embarrassing. Got like my laptop on a little cart, like hooked up HDMI to my TV, kicking back in my grandpa's recliner. Oh, perfect. Space with the handy dandy link. Perfect. Perfect. Thanks, Space.
Well, that's what makes what you do so much cooler, is that like you don't have like a fancy crazy setup like most of these streamers
That's
have, and
that's
still pumping
always
out the content.
that's always been my thing. I'm like, you know what? Like, what annoys me about like not and nothing against everybody can do the things they want the way they want to do them, but I'm always like, whenever I'm watching like a video on YouTube, like what's annoying to me when they're like wading through the cutscenes or reading the dialogue or doing this or like having their intro being like and subscribe and all this. Like I'm like, I don't even know if what this is yet, let alone like, so I'm just like, I just want to get straight to the point. Like the streams are obviously like a little more like digging in and like, kind of more like slow paced, but like with the YouTube videos, usually it's like, here we go, skip the cutscenes, let's get into the gameplay. Like that's what I want to see. Like I'm always like just scrubbing through YouTube videos, even trailers. Like I really just want to see like 15 seconds of gameplay and see if it looks fun, and then if it does, then I'll check out the game. I don't really want to like think about it much beyond that, But yeah, it definitely helps, like, just, not overthinking it. And it kind of helps that not having the best computer as well, to just be like, okay, I can't play any 3D games on my computer. Like, if it's 3D, it's got to be on a console, or otherwise I can't, at least on a stream. Like, I was able to play Frog Gun on my PC, and as long as I'm not streaming it. But I tried it one day, and it was just like a chug fest.
Oh.
But yeah, raw gameplay is king. I love it, Rafa. I've actually been thinking about like maybe like uploading some videos that are just like even pure gameplay once in a while. Even if it meant like, because sometimes I'm like in the mood to like record some stuff, but or I'm like in the mood to play some games, but not necessarily in the mood to like stream or make a video. But it's like, but I could like just just have the first like 20 minutes of gameplay or 15 minutes of gameplay and just record it just for the sake of getting this game out there to more people. But I don't know. I haven't decided if I want to do that yet. Because it is fun to just like bullshit and whatever while I play the games too. I like how you have like your kind of running tally of your score moving along, but then like you get like your like tallied up score, like all the combos at the very end as well. So you think like, oh, I'm only at 10,000, but like I could score quite a few points as like the run comes to a close.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I almost uploaded a build that was like gonna kind of change how some of the scoring worked prior to this, but for the sake of keeping things simple and in scope, I decided against it.
What would you have changed, or what have you been thinking about tweaking? Like, is it just like an actual like, does it change the way you would think about putting the puzzles together, or
Probably not like drastically. Like the little colored cubes that you get, like when I play or when I watch other people who I've like play tested with, they tend to like hold on to those cubes until they have two of them or enough to make the combo.
Yeah.
And so I was gonna make it so that like if you put it down and you surround it with like a few buildings or something. Like if it's touching buildings, like you would get points for having that cube down for like each turn you played, like minor points, but like just to kind of keep you from saving it. And it would be a little riskier to play the building, but
Okay.
could get more points potentially.
That's cool, because yeah, I'm definitely guilty of that in like any, whether it's an RPG or whatever type of game. I'm very guilty of being like, oh, this item seems like it's going to be really useful. I better save it and never use it. Like, like why?
Use your potions.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like they're there for a reason. Like, why am I playing this game like a total imbecile? Okay. I keep making the mistake where I think like, oh, I'm gonna make that combo with like when I level up this building, but number one, it's the wrong type of building. But okay, that is what I literally just did it with the wrong type of building. What an idiot! Looking at this, like the
you got your
smaller square. What were you about to say?
You got your undo button.
Oh yeah. I don't know
if that helps.
I was gonna say I don't know how many turns ago that was. Might as well try it. Oh, I like how it just shifts the whole island. Oh, but you can only use it one. Oh, you get 3 uses of it, but you can't like go back multiple turns at once. It's just like a 1 turn. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
1 turn, but 3 uses of it. I think that's like a really cool mechanic. We were just talking about Into the Breach on the podcast too, and John was like, I didn't even know there was an undo turn mechanic. He's like, I just like at one point like made a rule in my head that I was never gonna do that, and like totally forgot that you could do that in the game, and I just thought that was so funny. He said he'll reset like the turn, like the individual mechs, but if he's like already committed the turn itself, or like he won't like reset a turn that he's like set into motion like the whole turn, which is kind of interesting. But what were you about to say? I
gotcha.
sort of cut you off there.
Oh no worries. Yeah, I like that about Into the Breach, like, because oftentimes like I will hold on to that return or that undo the whole turn button until like the very last round, and like I'll only use it if I can possibly get a better outcome. Like, I mean, obviously that's when you use it, but like
right
like the turn I had originally like wouldn't make me lose, but like, can I eke out like a little more power or like XP for my mechs or something? But
right you're just like, oh, I gotta get like every last, you can't like let an opportunity pass you by, basically.
yeah.
Okay, so let's build one of these grass tiles, get this easy combo here. Well, not easy, I shouldn't take anything for granted here, but those wild cards definitely open up quite a few possibilities here. Hey, Mellow Sprout, how's it going? Yeah, this is one of the PPJJGG game jam entries. I'll try to say something more stupid each time. Yeah, just so ridiculous. Just can't help myself. But yeah, there were so many cool games in that game jam. I really was just blown away by the amount of people that signed up, the quality of the games that were entered into the jam. It was kind of mind-blowing, to be honest. It very much, I went from being like, oh, I don't know if we should do a game jam, like I don't know if we can do this, and then it's like I went from like, oh, I can't wait to do the next one. Okay. If I put this here, whole lot of nothing. Oh. See, I was expecting that to make a combo here. Oh, that's already leveled up, maybe? The wild card? Can you use the wild card multiple times, or is it only a wild card like when you place it down?
So if you're using it in like a bigger combo, it'll change into the building that it needs to be to do that. But if you're just using it like to combo with other buildings, you can use it as many times as there are spaces around it.
Okay. Ooh, here we go. Getting a clear tile just when I need it. Yeah, I'm right there with you, Mello. The aesthetics on this game are just fantastic.
Thanks, Mello.
Yeah. And that means a lot coming from Mello, because Mello is a fantastic artist. Again, I don't have it handy to like drop people's handy links, but Mello's always, or I shouldn't say always, but often on Twitch streaming and doing artwork and stuff, and worked on a game in the game jam called Bun Bun Battlefield that was really, really fun as well. I think that was one of the first games I played in the game jam, and that one was really fun. Another kind of grid-based puzzle game with some really colorful pixel art, totally different aesthetic, but yeah, another really cool game. They're really, honestly, I think I played almost every game from the game jam. I think there were like 49 or 50 games, and I pretty much really enjoyed every one of them.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah. And again, yeah, this was one of the ones, like I said at the top, that I gave 5 stars pretty much across the board. Like I said, I can't think of what I would have given I can't think of what I would have knocked it a point for, because I really just thought it was like, man, this leaned into leaned into the theme really well. It just kind of tackled every element of it, I thought.
Yeah, rating games in a game jam is like so conflicting, because like, you want to give good feedback, but also it's like, this person made a game in a week or 2 days. It's like, I want to give them 5 stars all the time.
Right. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be like too harsh on some of these. I was really like, I was giving honest feedback, but like at the same time, like, think about like, what the scope was, and what, not everyone's at the same skill level. Like, you just got to see like, okay, clearly with what this person was working with and the time they had and whatever, like, this is like a really cool game, or maybe they didn't have time to, maybe they were only able to work on it for part of the time, or part of the team fell through, or whatever reason, it's just like, hey, they still, like, one of the games that, I think the game that won was a game, or not the game that won, but I know one of the games, Seabound Rebound, was like a game that like barely made it across the finish line. They were like struggling, like looking for an artist, looking for people to like help them on the game, and then that was one of my favorite games, like gameplay wise, and was one of like the more like really thoroughly leaned into the theme and everything. I was like, this is awesome. I'm really glad they got that one across the finish line.
Yeah, I love that game. That was also one of my favorites too.
Yeah, it was like just like bullet hell madness, but like you created it, I guess, kind of in that sense. Like, I guess Vampire Survivors, like we were talking about, is like in that same vein, where like you are the bullet hell, but it definitely didn't feel like it was trying to do that, like trying to do a take on that. It was very much its own thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I need a couple of these.
I did do this one solo, Mellow Sprout.
Heck yeah. Very impressive. I keep wanting to place these grass tiles. No, let's place the red over here. Give me one more red. Now, do the tiles that you get picked, like that repopulate on the right-hand side, is that totally random based on the available tiles you have, or like the kind of main 4 after you place a tile?
Yeah, it is random. Yep.
Okay, cool.
There was gonna be like some things working behind the scenes, like if you hadn't gotten a grass tile in a while, then you would have a higher chance of getting one, but I never implemented that.
Nice. I feel like that like adds to that arcadey element, though, just having it be like letting it be totally random, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna get a couple of these building clears out of the way. That was your first time doing pixel art on Bun Bun Battlefield, Mellow Sprout? That's super impressive. I feel like you mentioned that before and I just forgot about that, but that's super impressive, because yeah, I guess you do usually do like the kind of more like hand-drawn stuff, which is equally impressive. Oh, Combo City, let's go. That just got real. Okay, the delay must not be too bad either. I'm always like based on like when you react, I'm like, okay, how long is the delay on the stream here? So it must not be too bad.
I think it was a preemptive woo.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's worse than I thought. But man, okay, I'm already up to 24,000 though without even getting into the combo territory. Or getting into like the final, tally of the score. So I'm feeling good about that. Okay.
I'm like honestly more impressed by like people who make a game as a team. Like that's so much coordination and working together that I don't have the confidence I'd be able to do.
I sort of know what you mean, especially for like some of these game jams, and I know some people did this in the Pursuing Pixels jam as well, like where they just like partnered up with random people, like not even anyone that they've really talked with before, just like, oh, I'm looking for a team. Like, yeah, that seems crazy to me. Or I've talked about the games that the folks over at Team Bugulon make. I'm a huge fan of the stuff that they do, usually for game jams. But they have like a team of, I don't think everyone works on every game, but I think they have like 16 people that they work with. And it's just like, how do you keep track of like, especially when you're on that like either, 48 or 72 hours or even a week, time limit of a game jam? It's like, how do you, like, it just blows my mind how you manage to keep track of that. I mean, obviously you just got to be, the communication skills have to just be off the charts.
Yeah, that's wild to me. Like just working with like one person on a long-term project, it was just like this constant like I need to update him and tell him what I need, and like sometimes I wouldn't get that together and he messaged me, he's like, do you need any sounds? And I'm like, probably, but I'll get back to you.
Yeah, I don't know 100% for sure yet. Yeah, I know what you mean. So like it is sometimes easier to just like, hey, let me just make the decision and just run with it, like not overthink it, and or not have like other people to like have to go back and forth. But it's always obviously it's just like it could go either way, because it's good to get feedback from somebody else that's also playing the game. And I don't know, it could just go both ways in so many different regards. Okay.
I feel like I'd be letting people down if I worked in a team. So it's like, if I only failed, then that's fine. I just didn't make a game that weekend. But
Oh, I see. So like letting other people down that you would be working with. At first, I thought you meant like the people who were like maybe playing the games. I was like, oh, how would you be letting them down? But I see what you're saying. Yeah, because I always was like that. Actually, like in the bands that I played in one of the bands that I played in, I was the singer and wrote like the vocals. So like a lot of times we would have a song pretty much ready to play for a show, and it's like then I'd get the pressure point of like feeling like, okay, if we don't play this at this next show, the only reason will be because I didn't get the vocals done and I let everybody down. So I'd like have that pressure of like, as much as I would tell myself like, oh, I think it helps me like get the vocals done, but it just was like pressure and made me feel stressed out. But in some ways it can help, like having a little bit of that pressure. But yeah, it's kind of nice to only know it's like self-imposed, and like, if you're not able to get it done, yeah, like you said, it's only letting down yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
And
oh yes, the deadline would be scary.
Yeah,
relying on somebody else to submit that deadline.
yeah, exactly. Knowing like, okay, we gotta get this in, whether it's for a game jam or otherwise. Even if you're just like communicating deadlines for like, oh, I want to get this patch out or this demo out by this time, or for the Steam Next Fest, or whatever the occasion is, there's always like some kind of deadline. Rafa, I don't think I've heard of Tiny Islands. Maybe I've heard the name in passing, but I can't say that I've heard of that game, or at least that I know what it is off the cuff. But I do like games that have tiny islands.
I've never played it.
You've heard of it but never played it, yeah. Running out of real estate here. I feel like I'm hanging on by a thread. But this is definitely already, well, I guess I'm 125 points shy of it being my best run again before it even tallies up that final score. So definitely not mad about that.
Yeah, looking nice.
Oh, just passed it up. Beautiful. Okay, now what do I... I'm like trying to see if there's any possible spot I'm missing here. Where I could take better advantage of one of these combo situations. But I think I might just be down to like placing these last tiles here. Oh, wait a sec. Hanging on by a thread. Ah, not as good as I thought. I was hoping for one of those massive, like, it really does feel like Minesweeper when you chain those, like, building clearing, like, what are these buildings called again? The, I guess I don't know what they are, but that kind of, like, skyscraper that, like, clears all the buildings around it or all the tiles surrounding it. When you can, like, chain those together. When I did that one and it kind of cleared all that, like, whole row almost. Like, that really feels like that Minesweeper satisfaction where you're like, ooh, yeah, I just cleared out that whole section.
Yeah, those feel nice. I just call them, like, spike towers. I don't know.
Yeah. I feel that. And again, I like how there's not, like, a bunch of, like, again, like, you could easily be, like, sitting here, if this game had a bunch of menus and, like, each house had a different name and this and that. I like how it's just all down to the visuals, you know? I really like that choice to lean into that with this game here. I think it works really well. And again, it adds, I know I've mentioned this a few times now, but it adds to that layer of like parsing out and kind of learning the rules as you go. I think that's like half the fun of this game here.
Nice.
Or maybe not half, but a good portion.
The thought of like trying to get a game localized, like people have asked me about like doing that with Cavity Busters, which has like thousands of words in it, and it's like I would love to, but can't really swing it right now.
Yeah.
But like this is like if I had to localize it, like there's I don't know, maybe 70 words, maybe 100 in the whole thing.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But...
That's a good point, because I remember we had our buddy Kevin Cole from Super Try Studios on the podcast, and actually doing one of these live streams, like interview sessions with him as well recently. And when he was on the podcast, we talked about how a Leckhead was like that, where it's like, yeah, pretty much no visuals. It's all like kind of, you know, just all, or no dialogue or whatever. It's all like kind of story, all the storytelling's done visually. And it's like, yeah, they didn't really have to do any localization, and like all that expense is taken out, let alone, yeah, it's just like crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Very cool stuff. But yeah, I don't know. How are you feeling? I know we've been going for about 2 hours here. I don't know how you're feeling on your end. I always like to keep the stream somewhat on the short side, but I'd be happy to do another run or two, or if you want to call it here, I'd be happy to call it here as well, whatever you're feeling.
That's probably a good stopping point.
Yeah, I feel like we kind of like got into learning the ropes here. If my back wasn't hurting me a little more at the moment, I'd say like, maybe we can fire up Cavity Busters for a quick run or two, because I still need to get better at that game someday, and I know that I need your help to do so. So I still feel like there's something that when I'm playing the game, and I don't know if this is the last time, it's been a little while since I booted it up last, but there's like, you know how you can do that mechanic where you like, and if anyone's unfamiliar with Cavity Busters, it's like a top-down dungeon crawler, twin stick shooter sort of situation, but you're able to like, sort of like you can in like Enter the Gungeon or in a bunch of other games where you're like able to kind of fast travel between rooms after you've cleared them. You can kind of do this like jump mechanic in Cavity Busters where you go like way up into like the air. It's a really cool like visual effect, and even just cool mechanic. Like you don't usually think of like being able to like jump on enemies in a top-down game, let alone in this like sky-high like free fall style. It's just a really cool the way you did that is just really cool. But like every time I do that jump, the map pops up. Is that supposed to happen every time? Like I'm always like confused. Like when I'm trying to land on enemies, like there's like an extra like the map screen pops up in the middle of the screen, and I'm like, what the heck am I supposed to be doing here?
Oh, that doesn't seem like it should be happening because like the map is only supposed to pop up when you're outside of combat. But when you're in combat, it shouldn't pop up.
I wonder if
I
I'm
might have to
doing
look
it.
into that. That might be a bug.
I wonder if I'm doing it like an idiot though, like in just like not fully understanding what I'm doing and like just haven't like fully because that's like one thing I'm like, am I like not understanding this mechanic properly or whatever? And then I'm just like, yeah, overthinking it because it's like a very chaotic game, but then there's like you're kind of like there. It's a really cool game. It's one that I really need to dig into more. And once I have a better setup, I actually just ordered a new capture card today so that I can hopefully possibly run some more like some games that would be like slightly more demanding on for live stream. So I'm hoping that I'd be able to do something like Cavity Busters, but especially when I've got like the Discord call open and stuff, I'm always just like, oh man, I'm always worried that something could just start crashing on us. But I really want to dig deeper into that game.
Yeah, well, if you ever want to stream it or whatever, or yeah, it's up to you. I'm totally down with sitting in with you again.
Heck yeah.
So.
Yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time to sit here and do this one today. And yeah, I'd love to do another one in the future. But yeah, also just appreciate you participating in the Pursuing Pixels, the game jam. Like, just so cool to, again, like see this game come to life and be like a game that people can buy for, I think it was $4 or $5 for the full price. You were kind enough to send a copy of this our way.
Yeah, it's $4.99 full price right now. It's 10% off. I think it's still 10% off.
Yeah, it's got that launch discount for the first week, which is awesome. But yeah, $5 is feel like a steal if you're a fan of like this kind of like slower paced meditative puzzle game. Although again, there are those different game modes where you can put the heat on a little bit, but you got the leaderboards. Like, I don't know, really easy game to recommend for me. Especially now you can try to chase me down on the leaderboards here. I'm up to number 5 now, baby. On the advanced leaderboard as well. But I like how you left that classic mode in there too. So like if you are playing the game, you're like, this is like maybe a little bit more, because I even into the breach sometimes, I'm like a little bit like, I love this game, but like I don't know that I want to play like a 2-hour run of chess right now, so
yeah,
sometimes it's like nice to play something where it's like, okay, I just want to play the classic mode, or even like with Mario Tennis Aces, there's like the hardcore new mode, and then there's like, I just want to play regular like old school Mario Tennis. So yeah, I like when there's those options, and again, just a really, really nice package here, and really cool game. But
thanks, man. Thanks for playing.
Yeah, same. Thanks again for sending the game our way, and thanks everybody for hanging out. Mello, Rafa, I'm trying to think who else was stopping by. Burrito earlier as well. I think there might have been 1 or 2 other folks, but yeah, thanks for stopping by and hanging out, everybody. Definitely check out City Limits and Cavity Busters as well. Again, I gotta get up to snuff on that game myself, but thanks for hanging out, everybody, and thanks again, Space, as well, for taking the time out of your Friday. And I don't know, any plans for the rest of the weekend? You just taking it easy?
Yeah, probably just take it easy.
Nice.
That sounds like a good plan.
Nice. I'm in the same boat myself, but I think we'll call it here. And thanks for hanging again, everybody, and hope everybody has a good rest of the weekend, and take care.